So now we turn our attention to the final for junior and junior rookie. Boris Maximov starts on pole position. He's got Bodine Blankenberg alongside on the front row. Lieke van Berkel and Bran van der Weyken ran out your top four positions. Head of Luca van Leer, AJ Berggraaf, Boris Verhaag, Storm van Rossum, Lionel Munguia, Noor den Engelsman, Jut Drent, James van der Poel, Devin Mieta, Seb Terhorst and Marieke Heemstra. Max Siderski is going to start 16th, having retired on lap number 7. And Nick Bloemers for a one-place penalty for unsportsmanlike driving, but was out with just one. Well, was actually out on the final lap. Heemstra got a 3-second penalty for 2 wheels outside of the tram lines on the start protocol. Reference the procedure for that one. So, revs up, lights on, lights are out first time. Good start by Maximov as Bodine Blankenberg tries to go around the outside but loses out second position to Lieke van Berkel on the early exchange. She goes defensive into turn 4. And a little bit of hip checks here or there at the back end of the field, so everyone's squabbling for initial real estate. Weir drops all the way down to stone dead last after that first cut the corners. I think just got swamped, and then it was just a little bit of panic stations, code red. And keep yourself out of harm's way and just try and fight your way back. AJ Berggraaf drops behind Boris Verhaag. 3 wide going into the penultimate right-hander. That might never end well if those 3 try and make it through, and they just about got it done. Incredible consistency, but one goes straight off. Coming out of the final corner, but the top 5, the top quintet, side by side for 6. I think that was AJ Berggraaf. It's going to be 3 wide. Don't tell me you're going to try and make it 4 wide down that back straightaway. That was very, very, very close indeed. So at this point, never easy to try and keep a cool head. Yes, it's a tight circuit. Yes, there's plenty of pack racing. But this is how karting works, is that if you get into a train, stick with it as best you can. Maximov continues to lead. Van Berkel second. Third, Blankenberg, Van der Weyken, Van Leer. And the top 5 were covered by half a second. Dive up the inside for P2. Bodine Blankenberg gets through on Lieke van Berkel. She could lose out to Bran van der Weyken and Luca van Leer if she's not careful, because she's going to be at the outside of the corner. She tries to cut across the 296. Van der Weyken is through, and Van Berkel sternly defends against Luca van Leer on that exchange. So Van Berkel and Van Leer look to be now 4th and 5th in the general running order of things at this moment in time. Maximov continuing to rule the roost, so to speak. He's trying to lead, but he's only got a quarter of a second in front of himself and Bodine Blankenberg. And Van Leer gets through on Van Berkel. Being time at the back end of the field. Max Siderski has punched his way up through into the mid-pack. He's going to go for another position. That'll be on Storm van Rossum. Gets through. Oh, what a drama there. 2:33. Boris Verhaag, who was running 7th. It's just been compromised. That's a real shame for Boris Verhaag ahead of Storm van Rossum, Max Siderski and Jut Drent, who were rounding out the top 3 drivers. It really is getting a bit feisty at the front end of the field. Maximov no longer leading. Blankenberg is. Van der Beken just calmly going. That it's just. It's nothing you can say to describe it in the best words possible. Because normally you trip over your own tongue. A bit of a tongue twister, especially when you get alliteration in sentences. The less said about that, the better. So 8 minutes and 40 plus an additional lap. Bodine Blankenberg trying to start stretching that gap, that little bit of an advantage window of opportunity for Boris Maximov for final race. Well, for the final race. So for Junior Max Rookie, and final race of this event before we go to Fuji for rounds 2 and 3 effectively. Luca Van Leer has got through on board as Maximov, who is uncharacteristically starting to squabble a little bit. So coming down. Back straight as the Drews have waited for this moment to get an opportunity to commentate on a series with such a prestigious nature. But still, well, Van Leer and Blankenberg are going to go into battle very imminently. Then you look at the gaggle behind. I think who that was. That looks to be Boris Maximov. Lieke van Berkel, well, it's going to be AJ Berghem. Here goes the move for the race lead. Time to millimetre precise perfection. Bodine Blankenberg right up the inside of Luca Van Leer, and Van Leer didn't realise what was going on, got a little bit kerfuddled, and that was it. Move was completed. So another lap in the books. We are 7 minutes now. So just over the 50% mark. And here goes Swiderski up the inside, neat as you like. And that's in P3. Chasing down Bodine Blankenberg and Luca Van Leer. Luca Leistra off track. But with 5 minutes and 30 seconds, plus change, plus an additional lap, there's any modicum of surprises that might fall our way. In terms of humidity, probably close to 70% here in Okayama. One of the things that we do know, Jamie, is when the rain falls here in Japan, it's... Well, when the rain falls in Japan, as I was commentating with fellow commentator and also journalist Jamie Klein, you know, when the rain comes down, it's like saying the rain in Spain falls mainly in the plate, or on the plane, and then someone's trying to do one for Portugal weekend, previous weekend or this weekend. And so you got some really, really good shots, and we were just saying, well, if they're going to bring Barrett, they're going to have to sort that out between themselves. However, it could really be coming down to the last couple of laps or so, where some drivers that have been using the same set of Mojo tyres, this could be the case where whoever's used them the most strategically has had the upper hand. Just under 4 minutes remaining of this 13-minute plus 2 additional lap final. And Max Siderski smells blood in the water, dives to the inside. Lap 13, turn 4. He gets through for the race lead. Boris Maximov removes forcibly from the equation. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, Bodine Blankenberg into the right rear of Lieke van Berkel, heading into what would be effectively turn 5. So Van Berkel got a little bit of an assist there, I'm afraid, and now she's going to find out how far she'll drop. So Van Leer, Van der Beken, Van Berkel. Attempt of a move here. That was 2-3-8. Storm van Rossum getting passed by Lieke van Berkel, who's on the recovery drive around the circuit. This double right-hander at the end of the track can sometimes be a little bit misleading in how high the gradient might be. Obviously, if you're a karting fan and you want to come out to someone like mid, come out to Belgium. Come to Karting Genk, even come here to Berghem, about half an hour away from Eindhoven International Airport. But the timer is counting down, 2 minutes to go, and Max Siderski, who started 16th in this pre-final, is probably a handful of laps away from taking pole position. Oh, in terms of, well, not pole position, but more pole position is in top step of the rostrum for this race, but not the person that is going to be a very, very busy lady once again. So this will give us, this will effectively give myself, Chris Dawes and Kira Mogg, who've got something quite special happening that I can't really tell you about. Verbal non-DA, so I'm not going to spill the beans. I might tip it down the sink. But now the race is stabilised. Biggest mover, of course, Siderski. But can Van Leer go for broke and try and get through? I would say that your guess is as good as mine. So that was something from from Lieke van Leer to Max Siderski. That's how far so another driver that's just had a 5-second penalty. Perfect. So 3 laps to go, including this one. Max Siderski still continues to lead. Luca Van Leer rides on the wheel tracks of the 13-year-old, based out of Zurich in Switzerland. Now he's decided, well, I'm moving elsewhere, but just going to do one more night in this comfortable, like, you know, like those mobile home pods that you can get them in. You can put them in the back of your vehicle and still do the campfire thing and sing, you know, have hot cocoa and like say cookies, and then someone's strumming the old acoustic guitar. So 2 more laps to go, and the drivers who have already entered the we've got Guzman Hatsune Miku, AMG, on pole for GT500. D-Station Vantage as GT3. Subaru Mads BRZ R&D Sport. Maybe some solid, good findings on the suspension would help the battle just be a, not when you turn in, you want to get things a little bit more pointy. So, final lap underway. Max Siderski starts to defend. Could be closer than you think. As Luca Van Leer put in the fastest lap of the race through into turn 5. Now into 6. Luca Van Leer last time round did a 44.736, 2 1,000s based off of a couple of people that you know, one of my friends who's watching at the moment also knows. But the checkered flag has fallen. Max Siderski takes the win by 0.123 of a second. Luca Van Leer P2. Boris Maximov, Bran van der Weken, AJ Berggraaf. They complete your top 5. Bodine Blankenberg, Lieke van Berkel, Storm van der Rossum and James van der Poel with Devon Mieta round out your top 10. 50% of which were rookies. Jur Drent, Nick Plumers, Boris Verhaag, Lionel Munguia, Sepp ter Horst, Marika Himstra and Knud den Engelsman. They all made it to the finish after 20 laps of racing, covered by 25.7 seconds. Next up, it's going to be the Senior Max final.